Here we go, Exact Cross Beringen underway. This fascinating and unique course that makes it such a great race. Really good start by Corne van Kessel in the middle there for the Tormans Circus cyclocross team with the yellow and blue shoulders. They're going over a little speed bump. There's a couple of speed bumps down this straight, actually. He's up alongside Michael van Turenhout, last week's winner. Van Turenhout just cruising into this corner, but it is the Dutchman Corne van Kessel who leads in first. If you didn't watch the women's race just now, I can tell you it is an absolute climb fest, this, with 90 metres of altitude gain per lap. It is the shortest possible course the organisers would be allowed to be using at 2.5 kilometres, and they basically take in the old slag heap of the mine here at the B Mine facility in Limburg province on the eastern edge of the city of Beringen, and they go up it in two kind of kicks to get to the top. The pits area is on the very top of Adventure Mountain, as it's known here, and they're climbing and descending along the cross-country trails of this fascinating mountain bike trail centre.
A bit of a risk to overtake in certain places on this course, as we see the only real dismount of the course, apart from that early pinch point where we see probably later riders, and just to prove me wrong, someone rides it.
I think that was Thibaut Nace there riding that. Eliasabeth, Dan Suter, Michael van Turenhout, Lars van der Haar and Pim Ronhaar. They are the 5 leading riders. So 10 laps, I was wrong. We're going to go for 10 laps. 2 complete so far.
Yeah, we see Ellie not forcing it down the road, not wanting to drag that group along, and Lars van der Haar takes the opportunity to get to the front of the race and perhaps dish out some pain this time up the climb. And quite clever from him, showing his experience and age. Getting into this pinch point first really means if he can ride this clean, he can force the issue on this next uphill, especially with a teammate in second. If Pim Ronhaar sits up now, the gap could just go.
Let's not forget, this is 2 teams up against each other. Paul Salson-Bingo and Michael van Turenhout here, and Eliasabeth, his teammate behind, up against. Let's not forget the jersey of Lars van der Haar is the European Champions jersey. He is also riding for Balois Trek Lions. And so he has a teammate there in Pim Ronhaar too. So 2 big teams up against each other, and tactics already being used. Eliasabeth getting in the way of the Dutchman there, our European champion, Lars van der Haar.
Skid on and take that top layer of dirt off. It was interesting at the top of the climb. We said how Pim Ronhaar hadn't seen that inside line, and once again Michael van Turenhout took the inside line and wheelied through the ditch, and Pim Ronhaar took the wide smooth line and actually lost a place to Isabeth. Had to go back round him, around that next to that concrete bowl. So yeah, definitely a little spot where he's losing a little bit of time, but hopefully he's wise to that come the next lap. Ellie looking strong though, going to be trying to close down that gap as quickly as possible, because the quicker he can get to that wheel, can get away from the 2 chasing Trek Balois Lions riders.
No, Ian, I think Eliasabeth has one of the most easily recognisable styles in world cycling, even outside of cross. It's quite unique, isn't it? He must have the smallest head tube of any bicycle I've ever seen. I swear the bearings at the top of the race must be pretty much sitting on the bottom bearings. There's literally no headset on his bike at all. Rides the bars really low, very low in the saddle. He's quite a short guy anyway, but that bike is so compact, and there he is hooking up with his teammate. We now have 2 Paul Salson-Bingo riders in the lead, Eliasabeth and Michael van Turenhout. The 2 Belgians have dispatched with the 2 Dutchmen, and they're off. Straight locked out legs, whereas Isabeth stays much lower on the bike. Here he is back across the finish line now, and he has 4 laps to go.
Yeah, Isabeth keeps his pedals a lot more level than a lot of riders, and chooses to drop his heels to try and push pressure through the pedals to maintain traction through both wheels. And yeah, rather than that kind of more traditional technique of lowering the outside foot and putting the weight through that one, he kind of opts to really drop the heels and actually sometimes like almost drop the inside pedal in some of the turns where he's not turning as tight. So but I think that's one of the advantages. He gets away with it because he's so small. A taller rider wouldn't be able to do that.
Was het dan op dit moment, want er zaten 2 jongens van Balois zaten toen naar blok. En het was het moment om aan te vallen. Dus Eli rijdt dan naar Michael en dan het vervolg kan je nu zien.
Maar Eli ziet er super goed uit.
Lars van der Haar hook up with Michael van Turenhout, and now putting the pressure on him. That shot is a wonderful one, looking back up this descent. It gives you a real idea of just how steep it is. When we close up, when we zoom in on these riders, it's hard to tell how steep it is, but it is a really steep shoot down to that point there. Off and running, And there's a bit of momentum here for Lars van der Haar, having caught Michael van Turenhout. Van Turenhout now is going to try and sit on him. So Elizabeth now with just 2 laps to go. He's clear, the former European champion, and settling into an effective rhythm by the looks of it. Yet another great start to the season. Second. The question is, can Michael van Turenhout get the better of him and get that 1-2 again as they had 1 week ago? The final podium step in the Polderscross last weekend was taken by Laurent Sweeck, out sprinting Lars van der Haar. Sweeck is not here today, and Lars van der Haar will be looking to get himself up onto that podium.
Very much so. There's quite a bit of prize money to be won throughout these events, especially when we get to the point in the season where they're racing 2, sometimes 3 times a week. It's really quite a nice top-up of the old wages.
Yeah. No gimmicks either in the exact cross season. I'm not suggesting any of the ideas of how to rejuvenate how prizes are designated in cross races, but it's a very simple series. No overall, just a prize fund for a men's and women's race across all the different rounds. No fastest lap competition, nothing like that. It's just pure racing and a collection of 8 really exciting courses. And this one being one of the very newest as well, but becoming a classic as we watch an attack here from Lars van der Haar over the top of Michael van Turenhout. 2 completely different styles. Van Turenhout rolling a much bigger gear and just rolling the shoulders round as he just winds his way back onto the back wheel of Lars van der Haar. It's not worked.
Yeah.
So he's going to be hearing the bell this time. 1 lap to go for young Elizabeth, the 24-year-old, who's already achieved so much in our great sport. Dedicated crossman. And certainly not waiting for the arrival of Wout van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel. Striking out early.
An exciting sprint down this finishing straight, or whether Lars or Michael can turn it round and dig in on this final kind of lap, and the 2 ascents they've got really to make the difference.
Well, what can he do, Ian? Could he have chosen to sit up there, swing off and see if, I mean, Van der Haar's not going to chase down his own teammate, but if they do that, then I'm guessing...
Let Michael van Turenhout, as the speed goes up, the advantage of being in the wheel goes up as well. So perhaps riding a slightly slower pace up here, as we see, is a bit just showing his strength by riding that on the last lap.
He's got that wonderful style, as you say, because he's that little bit more compact, lower on the bike as well. He sits way back on the saddle, doesn't he? And the front wheel is washing. It's actually washing out in front of him. It's like he's driving fully through the rear wheel and just pushing a fully turned front wheel up the hill. And here we go, Van Turenhout now determined to get in front. He wants to make it a 1-2 once again, 1 week on from when the last time it happened, and he's now putting the pressure on Lars van der Haar.
Yeah, we're coming up to that second real pinch point of the course, as the bumpy off-camber descent down into the off-camber climb, which is just about rideable. So it'll be interesting to see if Michael van Turenhout...
Van der Haar's already got a foot out. He's just dismounted and lost half a little gap there in doing so as well, but he's back right up against the advertising hoarding there. Van Turenhout with a little bit of advantage now.
Yep, this is the time to go. You don't want to leave anything to chance now. Just all out to the top of this climb, probably another 30 seconds of out the saddle effort, and then it's almost race over, because you just got the descent then. You just got to remain smooth, and it's really hard to take big chunks of time like Michael van Turenhout's managed to eke out over Lars.
You know, we've not mentioned it so far, Ian, but the one thing you can't really see, I've just noticed on that shot, is on that ascent, on that climb there. Oh, wow. Wow, really pushing the limits of his grip there, Lars van der Haar. I think some of those grooves lead down to where all those forest of wooden stakes is. We're about to see Elizabeth ride his way towards the finish and take his first win of the year. 1 week in, second race of the season. He was second last week to Michael van Turenhout, and he's going to take the win today. The World Cup winner from last season has started this season very well indeed. Great course that suits him. And he didn't make it look easy. Nobody would make that look easy, but he certainly made it look dominant, hasn't he, Ian?
I think he'll be pleased with that. That's another podium to note down, and didn't manage the podium on this course last year. Perhaps not a course that particularly suits his stature and style, but yeah, another second place for him, and another 1-2 for that team.
It's good to see Lars van der Haar sprinting so hard as well. He knows he's clear. He knows he's going to take third. but he still sprints up hard behind Michael van Turenhout. There's your podium all over the place. There's the top 10. Elizabeth the winner, Michael van Turenhout in second. His teammate, of course, Lars van der Haar in third. Pim Ronhaar with that very impressive ride. Witser Meersen up into fifth. Thibaut Nys in sixth. Jense Michaels in seventh. Ryan Kamp eighth as well. Michael van Turenhout up on the podium too.
Looks pretty pleased with his day's work.
Absolutely, he's had a good week. He's got less than a week to wait to the next round, of course, in Mühlebeker next Saturday for the third round of 8 of this series, which takes us all the way through to February. Elizabeth is up, and there is our podium complete. Makes me think, actually, Ian, I know this isn't a series. It's not.